Hi everyone, my name is Nur Atira Natasha binti Zakaria. I am from DEN 5A and today I will make business laws presentation and the topics are discharge of contract and remedies for breach of contract. We go to the first topic, which is discharge of contract. So, what is discharge of contract? It means the contract has become end and the parties of the agreement will be free from their contractual obligations. There are 4 ways that we can do to discharge our contract. Firstly, discharge by performance, then discharge by agreements, next, discharge by frustrations, and first of all, discharge by performance. It is a usual method that people use to discharge the contract. It happens when the parties who have performed their duties completely. Their performance must be exact and the precious according to the terms of the contract. Next is discharge by agreements or consents. It is either by express or implicit consents. The consents of all parties is necessary. The example are waiver, release, novations, remissions, and rescissions. What means to all example? Let me tell you one by one. First is waiver. Okay, waiver is a process of giving up any right or on anything with a voluntary actions or non-action nature. Then is release. Release is freeing from an obligations or commitment one from a duty that she could have been held legally liable for. The third is novations. Novation is the substitutions of a new contract for an earlier one, particularly a contract between creditor or debtor. For remission, remission is the discharge or release from penalty or obligations. And the last is rescissions. It is the destructions of a contract and available when fraud. And the last is rescissions. It is the destructions of a contract and available when fraud or mistake of consideration is present. We can see at section 63 of contract at 1950, if the parties to a contract agree to substitute a new contract for it or to resign or alter it, the original contract need not be performed. The third way is discharge by frustrations. It happens when there is a change in the circumstance which renders the contract legally or physically impossible of performance. Based on section 57(1) of Contract Act 1950, an agreement to do an act impossible in itself is void. There are 4 circumstances of impossible of performance. First is destructions of a subject matter of a contract. It means that when a contract depends on the existence of that thing, but the thing was destroyed. Example case is Taylor v. Caldwell. Music hall was accidentally burned down before of the date of the concerts. Then is supervening illegality. It is mean when the contract becomes illegal. For example, in the case Bernie v. Tronoh Mines Ltd, Japan invaded Malaya, therefore the contract of employment was discharged. Lastly is death or personal incapacity. The contract is discharged on death or incapacity of a person if the performance of a contract depends on his personal skill and ability. The last way is discharge by breach. It happens when one of the parties fails to perform his obligation. The disability to perform is due to the fault of the party concerned. There are 3 forms of breach, which is refuse to perform, disable himself from performing promise, and repudiate liability under contract. And the effect of breach is an innocent party may put an end to the contract and must restore any benefit which he may receive from other party. Section 65 of Contract Act 1950. Okay, the next topic is remedies for breach contract. It is mean the right that can be claimed by a party to a contract that experienced loss because of the other party to the contract was breached. There are four types of remedies, which are the mesh, quantum merit, specific performance, and injunction. The mesh is the court estimate compensation in money for detriment or injury sustained by the plaintiff in contract or tort. In Section 74 of Contract Act 1950, an injured party is entitled to natural damage and special damage. Natural damage is damage arising naturally out of the breach in the usual course of the thing. Special damage are those which are indirect result of an injury which do not necessarily result from such an injury. And the aim of rewarding damage is to give relief to the innocent party for the loss incurred, not to punish the party who is in breach. The specific of damage divide by three, which are substantial, nominal, and exemplary. Substantial is a reward given to put plaintiff in a place that he should if defendant perform the contractual obligation, while nominal is a small reward to plaintiff after he shows that there is a breach of contract, and exemplary is a reward given is far higher than the loss incurred. Then is quantum merit. Is a claim that can be made by the plaintiff who has performed obligation under a contract and then choose to resign the contract after defendant breach. Specific performance is the decree or the court directing that the contract shall be performed specifically that according its term. Based on Section 11 Bracket 1 of Contract Act 1950, specific performance may be granted by the court in the following circumstance. The contract is trust, actual damage cannot be ascertained, and a breach cannot be adequately relieved by compensation of money. The last is injunction. It is a decree by court ordering a person not to do certain act. It is an equitable remedy given at the discretions of the court. Based on Specific Relief Act 1915, injunction is a remedy class in Part 3 as the prevent relief. In Section 50 Specific Relief Act 1915, preventive relief is granted at the discretions of the court by the injunction temporary and perpetual. Temporary injunctions are such as are the continue until a specific time or until the further order of the court, while perpetual injunction can only be granted by the decree made at the hearing and upon the merits of the suit. That's all from me. Thank you. Damage is the court estimate compensation in money for detriment or injury sustained by the plaintiff in contract or tort. In Section 74 of Contract Act 1950, an injured party is entitled to natural damage and special damage.
Hi, I am Afrina from DEN 5A, so I will define the meaning of discharge of contract. Discharge of contract is defined as termination or agreement of contract that made by two parties, which is the one of the members of party is failed in performing the obligation, as I mentioned at the time of creating an agreement that is accepted by both parties, like a free consent. Okay, next is I will share with you how a contract will be discharged. First of all is performance. Okay, performance is general rule, which is all the term of the contract must be priceless, complete to discharge liability. The second one is agreement. Agreement is bilateral discharge. For example, discharge by both parties. So the members of the group parties is agree with the contract of discharge. Next is breach. A breach is a failure to perform one or more term of a contract, which is one of the team members fail in completed their obligation in the contract. The last one is limit on the doctrine. Here are the method of contract, discharge of contract. So first is discharge by performance. Second is discharge of contract by substitute agreement. And then the last one is discharge by lapse of time. Okay, by the suitable use is by performance. So by the performance is because one of the members already perfect their obligation during the period of time in the contract. A contract is to be discharged by performance when both of parties perform all the primary obligation, both under express and implied, which are set out under the contract. The next is remedies for breach of contract. There are several remedies for breach of contract. What is the remedial for breach of contract? Is this such a award of damage, specific performance, restitution, and restitution? The three elements must a breach of contract claim. So first one is the element of a breach of contract claim, which is the existence of a valid contract. Second, the plaintiff performance or tender performs. The third one, the defendant breach of the contract. And the fourth, damage as a result of the breach. What are the examples of breach of contract? Okay, when one of the party break the term of agreement with between two or more parties. For example, you are late in payment for rent. So, the ways to prevent a breach of contract is first thing first, we have to recognize and choose if the one of the member to join with us is use the same language that we are, or the all team members understand the language that he or she use. The second is reality's ability to follow in accordance to a contract, which means this is a loyal person. The third one, the contract does not break any law. So if you want to join, so make sure your and with your partner contract is follow the true and legal law. And the last one is research other parties' personnel before you enter the party, and make sure this is a professional reputation. So there's a guarantee to you to join for a long period in the contract or in the team members.